This P30S began life in HK's German factory, put together by some assembly line worker, flown all the way to the US, and then purchased by me. So how did it get to this point? Let's start from the beginning. What is Blue Archive? Blue Archive is an epic anime RPG developed by Nexon, yes, that Nexon, for Android and iOS devices. The game takes place in the academy city of Kivotos, which is made up of several different schools. These schools are massive, think like large university-sized. They're all based on real-life countries. You have your British school, your Russian school, a Chinese school, etc. In Blue Archive, the students all have guns, often based on the same country as their school. Why do they carry guns around? Well, because it's their culture. In this universe, leaving home without your gun feels like leaving home naked. And honestly, depending on who you ask, real-life people will say the same thing. God bless America. This is Gehenna, the school based on Germany. Anyone who knows guns knows that Germany is historically a huge manufacturer of firearms, and that's very apparent in the guns that Gehenna's students use. You've got stuff from the likes of Walther, Mauser, and of course, HK.
Blue Archive.
Gehenna student Kayoko Onikata wields an HK P30. It's not an HK 45 like I've seen people think. You can tell mainly by the trigger guard. The P30 is probably best known as John Wick's main gun in the first movie, where he uses a long barrel P30L with the iconic custom compensator that people drool over. This P30 is actually my first foray into both HK and hammer-fired pistols in general, and I loved it so much that I replaced my previous FN509C with a P2000 SK for my concealed carry. I can't help it. I love German-made things like Shadow Loves Latinas. This isn't going to be a review of the P30. There are a ton of those around already. This is merely an overview of how I brought a gun from this game to life. Starting with the bag, it's just an ordinary pistol bag that I've decorated a bit. There's a keychain of her halo that I got on Etsy, a button my friend got from Comiket, and a patch I bought from Fury Atomic. Inside, we have the can, a spare mag which also has the base plate painted, and of course, the gun itself. Quick press check. Aside from the threaded barrel, which took months for me to find for under $250, do not support HK parts by the way, this is mechanically just a stock HK P30S. I do have a Grey Guns trigger and trigger reset in my P2000 SK that I carried, and I love it so much that I at least want to put the reset in this one. I got it Cerakoted at Lateral Limits in Garland, Texas, and they did a great job on it. I didn't really give any specific instructions or colors, I just told them, make me this anime gun, and they delivered. The slide, grips, and mag base plates were painted Stormtrooper white with a splash of gray in there to darken it just enough that it wasn't a totally bright white, which a lot of people seem to default to judging by the gun on her stats page, but I wanted it to look closer to the actual game model and anime depiction. And even then, it still looks kinda white at first glance and in certain lighting, but not blindingly so. The serrations and the trigger are coated red. I do wish that I'd asked for a bit darker of a red, since I think this is just a little too bright, but that's on me for not being more detailed about what I wanted, and it still does the job just fine. And the can I just painted with acrylic paint that I got from a hobby store. If you look at it up close, it does not look that pretty, but I'll get into that later. As far as differences go, the designer for her in-game gun certainly took some artistic liberties when designing it, mainly in the slide. A real P30 has 5 front serrations, while in the game it only has 4. Her game gun also has the rear serrations smoothed out, and a custom flat hammer, which leads me to think that her gun might even have an LEM trigger. I've never seen a depiction of the rear of the gun, so I don't know if the decocker is there or not. I don't have the Gehenna name on the slide lock. Really, I was just too lazy to print out some stickers for it. The can is fake. I hate to say it, but I just don't have hundreds of dollars lying around to throw at one, plus the ATF extortion tax. Technically it can be shot with, but since it's a solid aluminum tube that's heavier than your typical handgun can, and it doesn't have a booster, the slide doesn't cycle, so you have to shoot it Luigi style, racking the slide in every single shot yourself. Also, every shot that I take with a can attached, the threads seem to expand from all the heat and pressure, making it harder and harder to remove. As such, I've only taken maybe a dozen shots total with it on, effectively making it just a decorative piece. If anyone would like to throw an Omega 9K my way to make this build more authentic, be my guest. With those differences aside, I believe this is about as close to a fully functional replica of Demon's Roar as you can get, short of getting a 100% custom-made one-off slide. And even so, with all the wacky depictions of real-life guns that this game has, I'd say that this one has been fairly tame and easy to replicate, relatively speaking. All in all, it's been fun being able to bring one of my favorite characters' guns into the real world and share with all of you. There are definitely a few others I would like to try. I have a Scorpion just like Atsuko's that I've been playing around with the idea of getting coded to match hers. I also really like FPS Kivotos' build of Azusa's AR. I'm a real sucker for that color scheme. Maybe even a model of a Type 100 since Izuna is my number one. I hope you enjoyed this overview, and if you liked it, please share with your fellow senseis and the gun nuts in your life. Until next time.